What's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about some recent Bitcoin news. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right into this one. I'm also going to show you how close BlackRock is from flipping GBTC. IBIT is slowly but surely gaining on GBTC. We're going to look over their assets under management. We're going to see how much Bitcoin they're holding. And I haven't looked at CleanSpark in a while, so I'll show you guys the chart there and what I'm watching. But let's get started. If you guys get something useful out of this, you know what to do. And let's first off look at this Bitcoin news. And we had news today that Morgan Stanley is the latest bank that bought Bitcoin. As per their 13F filings, they hold roughly $270 million worth of GBTC. This might not be them holding it outright. It might be them holding it on behalf of their clients, but in reality, I'm okay with either. But look at this little disclaimer here. Morgan Stanley opened up spot Bitcoin ETF allocations to its clients shortly after their approval in January, although only on an unsolicited basis, meaning the client has to propose the investment to Morgan Stanley, not the other way around. The fact that they're holding Bitcoin for their clients or for themselves is a big deal. Just keep in mind, they have over $1 trillion in assets under management. It's very possible that this money that's in GBTC by Morgan Stanley is from these clients that went out and asked Morgan Stanley about Bitcoin. Imagine if in the future Morgan Stanley changes how they approach Bitcoin with their clients. Instead of waiting for clients to ask them about Bitcoin, what if they introduce Bitcoin to some clients? Also, we have news now that over 600 firms reveal that billions are combined in investments in Bitcoin ETFs, with Millennium Management being the largest Bitcoin ETF investor with a $1.9 billion investment. According to this data, professional investment firms reported owning $3.5 billion worth of Bitcoin ETFs. And as I showed you guys in the last article, among them are Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, UBS, BNP Paribas, Royal Bank of Canada, hedge funds like Millennium Management, and Schonfeld Strategic Investors. But Morgan Stanley is one of the largest GBTC holders. Everyone has been piling into Bitcoin. Retail sentiment as of late has been very negative. Recently it's been turning around in my opinion. People are suddenly getting bullish again. Bitcoin is looking great. It looks like it is starting to play out this pattern. I do think we're going to start finding resistance here. We are now over 67,000. I do think over the weekend we'll see a little bit of a slow period, a little bit of boredom, and we'll get a little consolidation over this 50 MA, which is perfectly fine by me. I do think we're looking at the start of Bitcoin's new pattern. We're going to probably follow this ascending channel. We finally broke out of our descending channel. You see that clear reaction on the market when we broke out, and we did go on to hold the 50 MA. Go on to test our $67,000. Our next hurdle to climb will be the previous all-time high back in 2021, 69,000. After that, 70,000, the psychological 70. I do think a break of 70,000 will bring us to at least test our all-time highs. If we start cooling down over the weekend, the very least I'm looking for is us to hold 65,000 and maintain our 50 MA. But Bitcoin's looking pretty good now. It's setting new higher highs, higher lows. The RSI is now over 50 after finding it as resistance multiple times. And it's just funny how a few $1,000s changes the perception of Bitcoin. When we're down here at 60, 61,000, so much bearishness, so much negative sentiment. So many people saying, I'm gonna wait for 50,000. People even saying the top is already in. Funny how a few $1,000 increase can just bring so much optimism out of nowhere. I did want to give you an update on GBTC and IBIT. I do still expect a flip. I do expect IBIT to surpass GBTC, and I do expect the market to take this as a big positive. As of the last update, IBIT has been gaining on GBTC. It's now right around $800 million away. GBTC's lead is shrinking. GBTC now holds 18.8 billion in assets under management, holding 288,000 Bitcoin, nearly 289,000. And IBIT is a hair under 18 billion in assets under management. We might see them get to 18 in the following week. And they have 276,000 Bitcoin. We're looking at about a 10,000 Bitcoin lead for GBTC. And I'm okay with this taking longer than expected because it's on some good terms. We have been seeing GBTC post inflows. And this being the reason that it's taking longer for BlackRock and GBTC to see a flip, well, I'm okay with that. Much better than seeing IBIT surpass GBTC by GBTC seeing outflows. Instead, we're generally seeing inflows across the board. But yeah, check it out. Spot Bitcoin ETFs in the US reported a total daily net inflow of 257 million on Thursday, and that's their fourth consecutive day of inflows. These 13F filings are bringing more optimism to Bitcoin. It's showing that there is institutional adoption. It's showing that these huge banks are starting to allocate some funds to Bitcoin. This is just the beginning. Now, I did want to give you guys a quick update on CleanSpark before I go. We are now out of our descending resistance. We haven't had a false breakout previously. I would like to see this candle here print out of the pattern, and I do think next week we will test our 50 MA. We have been finding it as a resistance. We break out of it, but we don't close out of it. I do think next week for CleanSpark, as long as Bitcoin gets some positive direction, we will see it hold that 50 MA, and this may be the beginning of our breakout of this trend and our attempt towards $20. Looking at the volume profile, there really isn't much holding us back. It's a matter of getting over those mid 17s, getting over that 50 MA, and getting over the 50 on the RSI as well. We have been previously finding it as a resistance. We could be looking at a good run next week. And I wanted to show you on the Heikin-Ashi candles, we are starting our uptrend again. One thing that would be nice on the Heikin-Ashi candles is to see a green candle on the weekly print. We are still facing red. Heikin-Ashi is indicating on the longer term trends we are in a downtrend as of recently. I do think next week's candle can change that. And I wanted to quickly show you guys where the EMAs are concerned. CleanSpark is above all three of them. It has been flipping the 50 from resistance to support, from resistance to support. But you know, things are still indicating we are in an uptrend. And just look at the Fibonacci. When we started our run 2 earnings ago, when we broke out from the 8s, ran all the way to the teens, following this run from bottom to top, you'll see that we did come down and we literally bounced off that 618 level. CleanSpark has maintained that since. I do think when we look back, those that bought at the 618 level, those that bought on this pullback are going to be happy they did. But let me know how you guys are feeling about Bitcoin. All these recent 13F filings showing that big money is getting into Bitcoin. This is starting to bring a lot more optimism, a lot more hope. So far in May, we have been seeing inflows from the spot Bitcoin ETFs. We have been making up for the end of April. And there's no doubt in my mind that now is still the time to be bullish on Bitcoin, bullish on the Bitcoin miners. This is setting up to be a great cycle for the Bitcoin miners. I do expect many are going to be posting profitability throughout a good part of the rest of this cycle. And you never know, post-halving they may continue to post profitability as long as Bitcoin keeps its upward momentum that we've been seeing. We still have a little over a whole month of this quarter left, and this can give the Bitcoin miners what they need to surpass their forward guidance, and we might even see consistent profitability from here. I do suspect we're going to see many flip from profitability like we just saw to unprofitable. But you know, even with rewards being cut, these miners are still looking amazing. Even with rewards being cut, these miners are in a much better standing than they were when Bitcoin was $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. We still have the rest of this Bitcoin bull run to enjoy, and I do expect a lot of these Bitcoin miners to be pulling in profitability very consistently this cycle. And this is the first time that we saw Bitcoin miners posting profitability right before the halving. I do think this cycle is shaping up to be a great one to be in the Bitcoin miners. Many have outperformed Bitcoin, and I expect that to continue. Let me know what Bitcoin miners you guys are watching in the comments below. Let me know of any news today that came out that you think is pretty big. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and enjoy your weekend.